Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, December 15th. A lot to talk about this morning. Looks like we'll have a stormy and cold weather pattern from this weekend, perhaps right through the rest of the month of December and into January. Looks like there'll be a potential coastal storm this weekend. Another threat comes the middle of next week, Wednesday or Thursday of next week, and then probably another one about 2 or 3 days after that. So it looks like after a break in the weather during this work week from today through Friday, a stormy pattern will resume here in the Mid-Atlantic region. For the next few days, we have a warm frontal system to deal with on Tuesday that should spread some showers into the region, and then a cold front early Wednesday paves the way for colder weather on Thursday and Friday. Well, let's start off by looking at the latest surface map. Lots of high pressure here in the east. Didn't do much good, though, for the weekend in terms of sunshine in much of the Mid-Atlantic region. And again this morning, we have a stubborn deck of low stratocumulus clouds. Some of you may have seen some pictures from the Grand Canyon late last week of a kind of an unusual phenomenon, an inversion where temperatures increase with height, and that produced a low cloud deck hovering right over the Grand Canyon for days on end. Well, the same kind of phenomenon is causing this persistent cloud deck here in the Mid-Atlantic region, namely an inversion. And given the inversion this time of the year with the low sun angle, it just is very difficult to wipe away those clouds during the midday and afternoon hours. Indeed, mostly cloudy skies on Saturday and Sunday, and it looks like today too will feature mostly cloudy skies with that stubborn stratocumulus deck out there. It'll take the middle of the week, the frontal passages kind of mix up the atmosphere to probably see some real sunshine around here come Thursday and Friday of this week, albeit colder. Meanwhile, out in the middle part of the country, there is a storm system. This is the same storm that pounded California late last week. It's now in the middle of the country, causing some rain and snow out there. And yes, another frontal system is moving into California. They'll get some additional rains, and they have a stormy pattern also for the next couple of weeks. It looks like this one will be followed by another one 2 or 3 days later, and followed by another one 2 or 3 days later, and all of these will tend to go west to east across the country, keeping us moving us back to a stormy pattern potentially beginning this coming weekend. Well, here's the latest infrared satellite imagery loop from the SSEC Wisconsin website. You'd look at this and think that there were mostly sunny skies here in the Mid-Atlantic region, but no, there's a remaining deck of stratocumulus clouds from D.C. across southeastern Pennsylvania, just south of the New York City region. New York City right now is actually mostly sunny. They'll stay in the clear for the most part over the next several hours, but it'll be a tough struggle here to get rid of these clouds across southeastern Pennsylvania all the way down into northern Maryland and Virginia. A nice spin in the atmosphere here in the middle part of the country. This is what remains of that storm that pounded California late last week. It's now in the middle of the country. Some rain and snow associated with this, and yet another a strong frontal system approaching California with some needed rains. And again, the threat for more California rains will continue for the next several days. They have 2 or 3 more storms to go through over the next week to 10 days. Well, let's jump ahead to the potential coastal storm for this upcoming weekend. Again, it'll be a relatively calm 5-day stretch from today through Friday. A warm front to deal with on Tuesday, a cold front on Wednesday. No big storms during the next 5 days, but it looks like beginning this weekend, the overall weather pattern will become stormy and rather cold, and it looks like that stormy pattern will continue probably for the rest of the month of December, right into the early part of the year. Again, one storm threatens this weekend, another one Wednesday or Thursday of next week, and of course Wednesday's Christmas Eve and Thursday's Christmas Day, and then another one probably 2 or 3 days after that in the time period of December 27th to the 30th, in that time frame right there. This is the European model run for this weekend. These maps we'll be looking at over the next couple of minutes come from tropicaltidbits.com. Of course, significant model differences right now, 5 or 6 days out from a potential storm. The European model is the most bullish in terms of the prediction of a coastal storm. And it'll be marginally cold here. We're not talking about any kind of a guarantee for accumulating snow, but certainly the threat exists for this weekend. Could be a rain or snow type situation, perhaps rain changing to snow. And here is the forecast map from last night's European model run for Friday evening. We'll look at 24-hour increments, Friday evening to Saturday evening to Sunday evening, to see what the European model is doing. And then we'll look at the NOAA GFS models, both the operational and the updated version called the GFS Parallel. Well, this is the forecast map for Friday evening from the European model run. A nice looking storm here developing across the Gulf states. Some cold high pressure here over southeastern Canada. Jump ahead 24 hours. This is the forecast map for Saturday evening. Coastal storm here looks like moving towards the Carolina coast. Again, cold high pressure to the north here from south central Canada all the way into eastern part of Canada. And then let's jump ahead another 24 hours. This is the forecast map for Sunday evening. Low pressure off the mid-Atlantic coastline. Precipitation, kind of the typical comma-shaped precipitation pattern on the northwest side of the low up across the I-95 corridor. And notice high pressure here, kind of a banana-shaped high that you always look for snowstorms this time of the year. Not saying this will be a snowstorm, but the threat exists for some accumulating snow here according to last night's European model run. And I believe the overall weather pattern certainly allows for this as a possible solution. Now let's take a look at the GFS model runs. Both of these substantially different from the European model run. And let's now start off with the operational version of the GFS model. Well, we'll take a look at the same time frame, Friday evening, Saturday evening, and Sunday evening. This is the operational version of the GFS model. Notice right off the bat that the low pressure system depicted here by the GFS model is farther north compared to the European model. The European model, you remember, had more of a coastal low down in this region. GFS is starting off farther north and west. Let's now jump ahead 24 hours. And here's the GFS forecast map for Saturday evening. One low pressure from this GFS model run kind of tends to go to the north and west here of the I-95 corridor in towards northeastern Ohio, western New York, and then kind of a secondary area, a secondary low perhaps takes over along the mid-Atlantic coastline. Kind of an unusual solution here. I don't think it'll end up actually doing this with a second low moving up to the north and west of the I-95 corridor. Let's now jump ahead another 24 hours. Well, again, we'll kind of walk through the same time frame.